Well, hi, mommies and poppies. It's Yawnie, your DJ and dance junkie, with today's dose of the dime. I'm so thankful that you guys are joining me here. It's a little bright in here, so I'm going to tone that down just a bit. So I'm glad you guys are here. This has been like the end of a most kind of traumatic almost weekend. So we had full moon very recently, and we also had a spring equinox. So if you've been feeling kind of heavy, if you've been feeling kind of stressed, if you've been feeling kind of emotional about some things, there's a reason why. There's everything. The seasons are changing. We're now in spring. We've shifted seasons. We've shifted things, and so things are gonna kind of mellow out now. Hopefully, woohoo! Hopefully, because it's been a challenge for a lot of us going through these time periods. So with that being said, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys have joined me right here on the Batchelor News Radio Network. And anytime that you have missed one of my transmissions and you want to hear some more, please do go to thebatchelornews.airtime.pro. They always got all of my old episodes if you want to jump in and see what we're talking about, because we're always talking about something. There's always something going on, especially in my Facebook group. So just a little bit about myself. I was a family advocate for 7 years. I worked with families to try and keep them together, to try and help them with their children. I also am a licensed master of social work. I have my degree from OU, and definitely I've been working as a therapist in the schools for a little while. You are welcome to reach me on all my forms of social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok. I love TikTok. TikTok has gotten kind of messy with all of the um, womb land things going on. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But definitely something that we've kind of looked at and just kind of, that's a bit interesting. So definitely kept an eye on some of those things. So I'm glad that you guys have joined me here today. We could have been anywhere else, but you're hanging out here with me, and I definitely appreciate it. Definitely want you to check out my website is www.thedjdime.com. And on there, you'll find a couple of blogs, a couple of podcasts where I talk about music. I believe, honestly, that music can make or break you. One, music is a form of coping skill. I teach like the teens that I deal with to cater their playlist, so when they're having a rough time, they can go through their playlist and kind of map out what it is that they're feeling and get to a space where they can be okay. So definitely sometimes though, we can use certain songs that we think are really instrumental in helping us, and they're actually sabotaging our progress. So what do I mean? Like there's one X Factor by Lauryn Hill. Love that song to death. But if you look at the lyrics, and when we sing, we belt it out from our soul, right? From our spirit. We belting it out because, care for me. You should have cared for me. I mean, we're singing it, right? And I believe in the law of attraction. So anything that you put out there with enough passion, with enough energy, you're going to manifest. So with that being said, we have to be careful in the things that we do manifest, including these types of situations. Like, you could be manifesting a whole breakup and you're not trying to. So, and then there's songs like My Life, which sounds like it's by Mary J. Blige, of course, which sounds like it could be like, oh, it's a mopey song, but actually the lyrics are so on point and positive. It puts you in a different mindset, like definitely in a state of, this is me moving forward with my life. Okay. So listen, definitely check that out. You're welcome to check that out again on www.thedjdime.com. It's always there. And I have a couple of blogs and we talk about goals and stuff like that. So I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys are listening. And I'm going to move forward today with our messy topic. So I actually have a Facebook group. If you have not joined it, please do. It's a public group. And it is a Dose of the Dime radio show. And so on there, we talk about different topics and definitely different hot topics. And this week has not been any exception. Listen, we kind of got in there and got dirty. First thing we asked about was polyamory. I don't know if you are aware of what polyamory is, and some people think it's the same thing as polygamy. It is not. Polyamory is basically what you would probably consider an open relationship, multiple partners. Definitely not the same thing as polygamy. Polygamy is normally where one person marries multiple people, although I'm assuming that polyamory can turn into polygamy, which is also a thing. So definitely these are different topics. So polyamory is basically a group relationship where you can have one person, which we will call a unicorn, because these people rarely exist, who dates both the man and the woman, or you can have the man having his separate relationships and the woman having her separate relationships, but everybody knows everything. So it's basically an open relationship. So that's what polyamory kind of is. So we talked about it, and I put on the day, J Dime, is this something that you would be interested in? So believe it or not, it was okay. Women 51% to 49% said yes, they would be interested in doing polyamory. Flip side of that, men with a overwhelming 51% said no, they would not be interested in polyamory. So again, the numbers are flopped. 51 to 49, no, men. 51 to 49, yes, women. But it's still split down the middle pretty much. So definitely something that you guys want. I want to continue talking about this because it's an interesting topic, specifically in the Black community. Polygamy is not a new concept in the Black community, but polyamory is, because it's not a, there is no absolute, what is the word? There's no absolute relationship set up. There's no commitment. There you go. There's no specific commitment that is designed or catered to outside of the primary person and the primary partner. So there are primary partners, that's the main partner, and then everybody else, they kind of flow in and out. But everybody knows about everybody else. And in what we call a polycule. So that's a whole other conversation. A lot of stuff that we could get into. Not going to get into it right now. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts on polyamory, because it was definitely an interesting topic for me. So absolutely, let's get it going. A couple of other hot topics that I wanted to get into. So I asked both men and women, and I separated the two subjects, men, or actually women, what are some of the things that you do not understand about men? Okay, so, and I asked men to respond to these questions. So I'll go with my question because, it's my show. And it says, how can we as women make you feel like you are safe with us? Like literally, how can we make you feel like you're loved, you're cherished, and you're safe so that you can, relax with us? Here are a couple of the responses. Harry put in there, making your actions match your words, especially after an argument. I dig that. Anthony said it would be easier to open up if he knew that he wasn't going to be attacked about what he was feeling. Having this manhood question, being called a simp, or whatever it may be, depending on what the argument was about, of course. Fatode said women can help men feel safe by not throwing their vulnerabilities back into their face, or throwing past arguments or past situations back into their face in the middle of a present argument. I can understand that too. Stop threatening us by saying what we won't do, another person will. I know people who have said that because it opens up the conversation. Like, are you open to find out what someone else is willing to do for you? And then calls into question, are you cheating? And I don't just mean physically cheating. Are you emotionally cheating? So then if that statement is thrown out there, it makes you not want to be vulnerable because you don't feel safe with that person. Are you out there not representing me? That's the one thing that my father made sure that I understood, that when I go out, I was representing him because I was his child. But when we go out as, if I'm attached to someone, when I go out, I'm representing my husband. So do I represent my husband in a way that is respectful to him? So that's something that definitely I wanted to address about that. You know what I mean? It's an interesting concept. So definitely some other comments that were made is be on our team, be our teammate, not our competition. Which, I mean, I think that's specific, though, to different conversations. I don't necessarily know if that had to do more with us being a safe space, but I guess it can flow into that conversation. Michael said, show us understanding. Treat us like equals. Show us that you believe in us. Now, that one I feel like is important. Show us that you believe in us. Show our men that you believe in us, right? Because that's real. If you're not believing in your man, how can he feel like you have his back? It's an interesting way to kind of think about it. Anyway, keeping our business between us, definitely something that, I feel like, okay, to an extent, I've often heard you keep your dirty laundry in your house. To an extent, I do not believe your marital arguments should be brought before the community. Never. If you are seeking guidance, you should seek guidance from elders, or you should seek guidance, but not from messy TikTok. You should not be seeking guidance from Facebook. Should not be seeking guidance from your messy friends. You should be seeking guidance in a respectful manner. However, when it comes to beating, cheating, stealing, lying, these types of things, I do not believe that. I think you should seek counsel for that, for sure, because it is too much of that stuff that has gone on in our communities. It's kind of broken our communities, i.e., child molesters being catered to in our communities, or women being abused and no one's saying anything about it, or children being misused and no one's saying anything about it. So our business, as far as the stuff that we argue about when it's petty, like, oh my God, he didn't pay the light bill, that should be kept between me and him. Okay. And definitely, Mama Saru said, do not air your issues on Facebook. I absolutely have to agree with her. Do not be messy on Facebook. Gilbert Cruz says that usually means an offer was made, at least. You're talking about what you won't do, another man will. Absolutely. Offers are made all the time. You guys don't understand. It be made on the slide sometimes by your friends. Just gonna put that out there. But definitely something to think about. So men, I also asked them the same question. Men, what are some things that you don't understand about women? And asked the women to respond in a respectful manner. And I did this both ways. I said, in both ways, let's be respectful, because of course we get into the finger pointing, and I don't like that. Because again, I think one of the major problems that we have now is that we don't communicate. We're too busy blaming, and we're not trying to fix, and that's a big problem. So definitely something that I want to make sure that we are respectful in this situation, because the goal is for us to love each other, love on each other, be one with each other. And it's hard when we're pointing our fingers at each other and blaming and nitpicking stuff that really doesn't make any difference. You know what I mean? So back to the question. Vincent talked about there being a double standard. Okay, encouraging women to date multiple men, when in the past when men do it, they get shut down. I agree. But that doesn't mean women shouldn't date multiple men. It means that men should continue doing what they do, because that's what they do anyway. You should date multiple people until you find that partner that you are interested in investing in. And I mean that because we tend to, here's the thing that I know about people, is that if we like somebody, we'll make anything work. And that's not necessarily the right thing. We will settle for stuff that may look or feel good at the time. And that's why I say, please do not settle. Please do not just put all of your eggs into one basket. Please make sure that you see what is out there. Have conversations, make it go the test of time. Take your time, because you don't know what's going on out there. So do I mean that definitely women should stop dating multiple men? When you get to a space where I feel like it's physical, then yes, you should stop dating multiple men. But until then, no, please feel free to find your mate, because that's the goal. The goal is to find a mate, right? Okay. So the other piece he was talking about, wanting a six-figure man when you barely make over $4. So two things. We talked maybe about a month or so ago about the non-negotiables when we're talking about dating. So there are non-negotiables that we ask for up front when it comes to a man or to a woman or to whoever it is that you're trying to date, the things that you will not budge on. For me, a man has to have a car, a man has to have his own place to stay, and he has to have his a career or job. Okay, these are things that will not budge on because I have them. So I feel like a man should have what I have. And not to say that he's not a man if he doesn't have these things, but these are the things that I require. Okay, so when Vincent says that women are asking for somebody with 6 figures and they're barely making 4, I dig what he is saying, but it does not mean that women should drop their standards. I think women should elevate, 1, to that standard, and then 2, men should up their standards. If you don't like messing with the woman that's messy or broke, then don't. If you don't like dealing with the woman who requires you to feed her children, don't. It's that easy. But and I have to say it this way, women do get bent out of shape when it comes to preferences, because most of the time the preferences aren't them. But that's okay. You should have your preferences. But a preference and your non-negotiables are 2 different things. So I would say to men, if you are dealing with a woman that's, oh, you don't make 6 figures, so I'm not trying to hear from you, then maybe you should not even bother talking to her. You should up your standards and up where it is that you're looking for women, because that makes a difference too. Okay. So not that we jumping on men. Let me back that up. Hank wanted to know why when men say that they're not seeking a relationship, do women continue to try impress him? Fatote and Ben also co-signed on that. Ben said when he said that he was in a relationship, that women dogged him out, called him names and all these things, different kind of things. And definitely it was he's basically said he did not have energy for a relationship, and she called him the community man. And so it's an interesting concept. Okay. So when that's definitely something that we should answer and be held accountable for. Okay. If a man tells you he's not interested in a relationship, please, please, please believe him. Please believe him. It looks like, I don't see, it says ID continued to date someone negative or rude or conceited that the hopes would just hope that things would eventually work themselves out. Allow me to say upfront and personally, because Mike said that. Sorry, Mike. You cannot change any person. The only man that you can change is a man wearing a diaper. The only woman that you can change is a woman wearing a diaper. You cannot change anybody. People change on their own. They either want to change and they make the steps required, or they don't. And it has nothing to do with you. They'll change for themselves, or they may change for you, but you cannot change them. Okay, so let me take a quick break before we go into the rest of these, because it's a lot of them. I wanted to talk about Feature Album Friday. And listen, In Vogue is the artist of the week. In Vogue is the artist of the week. So every Friday on the Batchelor News Radio Network, we play 30 minutes of a whole artist's total discography, right? And at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time this Friday, they're going to play In Vogue. In Vogue is my group. Listen, I used to sing that, all that. I know y'all don't want to hear me sing, but I used to do all of that and wear the little tight dresses and stuff. Listen, but no, In Vogue is my group, and I hope you guys check it out. It's a really cool concept, and I really like that we do it right here on thebatchelornews.airtime.pro. And also take some time on Sunday through Friday to check out Whisper Softly. It is the Batchelor Radio Network's answer to The Quiet Storm. They play a lot of soulful, sexy, soothing music to kind of set the mood for the house. So I hope you guys check that out. It's going to be 8 p.m. again, Sunday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check it out and see what it's all about. Okay. With that being said, let me take 30 seconds to give the man his time, and then I will be back with you right here on the Batchelor News Radio Network.
If you're an African-American man, you need to know about oral cancer. Oral cancer is more common in African-American men than in any other group in the U.S. If you have a sore or lump in your mouth that doesn't go away after 2 weeks, see a doctor or a dentist. Most often, these symptoms don't mean cancer, but it's important to get them checked. If you do have oral cancer, it can be treated more successfully if it's caught early. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, National Institutes of Health.
Hola, mommies and poppies. It's Yawnie, your DJ and dance junkie with today's dose of the dime. I had to go ahead and take care of this hair right here. Listen, it fell apart right in the middle of my speech. Okay. So with that being said, we were talking about men asking questions about women, things that they didn't understand, and how we could, and asking us to answer, and again, in a respectful manner, because of course we want to be respectful about these things. So the next question was very serious, and I think it needed to be addressed on the air, was disrespect after a relationship, especially when there are children involved. I want to say this up front and personal, and you guys can hate me if you want to, and that's fine. I don't really care. If your guy, if the father of your children is doing what he is supposed to do, if he is asking to see the kids, if he is spending time or trying to spend time with the kids, there's no reason in the world that he should not be able to see his kids. He should be able to see his kids every time. So please take a moment to reflect on that and vibe however you need to vibe. Child support or not, if he wants to see his kids, if he wants to be active in his kid's life, I do understand the need for child support. I absolutely. Please understand, I'm not on that side of the fence. I am just saying, if a man is trying to be there for his children, please allow him to. With that being said, disrespect after a relationship is over needs to be handled in a mature way. And sometimes you can't make other people see. So sometimes you have to, take the lesser of two evils and take the high road and be more cordial about things, which unfortunately is not easy, especially when a lot of times people are doing dirt and being petty for no reason at all. So sometimes you have to put up with that stuff in order to just get it. And do I have a reason or excuse as to why it happens? No, I don't. Other than women just being hurt and being sad and taking advantage of that. So there that is. Definitely there were other questions like, why are women so moody? First of all, don't generalize. Not all women are the same. They could be overworked, undersexed, not enough sleep. I mean, no matter what, getting ready to start their cycle, getting ready to go through hormone changes, or just flat out unhappy with you. And then, so you have to really communicate with your spouse to find out what is going on when it comes to those types of things. Finances might not be right. The work might not be right. But definitely, you want to have a conversation with your woman if things are not going the way you need them to go. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so there was another question. It was definitely a hot topic. It says Black women are supportive of other Black women dating outside of their race, but they're not supportive of Black men dating outside of theirs. Up until recently, up until recently, I'll be honest, when I saw a Black man with a white woman, it was disappointing to me. Not necessarily because I wanted him, because I don't. If he's with her, I definitely don't want him. But because he is setting a standard that no Black woman can compete with. And I'm not saying white women are better. I'm not saying it. It's just that I won't turn myself into a white woman just to have you. She can have you. I feel like what I bring to the table is worth his weight in gold. Okay. But since there has been such an outcry recently from Black men really going off on a tangent as to why they won't date Black women, that has been the problem for me. For me, that has been the problem. It's not, you can date them. We don't care. Date them, but leave us alone. Leave us alone. Leave us out of it. We do not care. Okay. And then the flip side of that is, and I said this on a post, since bills are now checking for us, Brian's, and Brian's are not, then, if Bill is being a good person to us, why would we continue to seek out Brian if Bill is being good? And I hope you get my reference when I say that out loud. Okay. I think it's more about us wanting our sisters to be happy. And if being with someone else, it's all about love. If being with somebody else makes you happy, then fine. But make sure that that's what it's about. And it's not about, disrespecting the Black woman, or you being angry at your mother, or you being angry at Black women, or you just not, whatever it is. That if that's what it is, then yeah, you're not going to catch a lot of love from us. But sending you love anyway. So B. Yella asks, why do we have to express ourselves to women but are expected to read their minds? Now this is the whole purpose of this show today, is basically talking about unmet expectations. First of all, Hollywood has kind of sold us up the river when it comes to these types of things, because Hollywood has given us this impression and it's interesting to know, that a lot of these women have swallowed that hook, line, and sinker and are requiring men to do this. And I don't understand why. Definitely, we want men to show up for us. We do. And we need to let men know how to show up for us. Please understand that every woman is different, and they want you to show up for them in a different way. So it's not going to just be one way that you can show up for them, and that's going to cover everybody. It won't. You have to get to know that woman, of course, right? All right. And with this definition of soulmates and twin flames, we as in women are expecting that when we meet our soulmate or our twin flame, first of all, we're expecting to meet our soulmate and our twin flame. And I do believe that everybody has a mate out there. But when we have this concept out here, as a woman, I expected for me, when I met my soulmate, for it to just everything to instantly bond and be made whole, and everything to mend and bled, and everything I said he understood. But people are human. Just because they're your soulmate, or just because you're looking for your soulmate, does not mean that it's going to be this magical. And it might be magical, but it won't be this perfect experience. No relationship is perfect. No relationship is perfect. My parents were the first to tell me that they married their soulmates. I mean, they brought up the concept of soulmates. That was taught to me. And their relationship was not perfect, but it was good. And we need to get into the concept of, is this relation good enough? Are my pros heavier than my cons? Because if my pros are heavier than my cons, then it's worth saving. Okay. I mean, that's just something that I decided I wanted to make sure we understood, and understanding what marriage really looks like, because there's an ebb and flow to everybody. We sometimes are so in sync that everything meshes and we're together and we're working and we're vibing. And then there are times that we just don't. And there are times that we just kind of flow with this. It definitely is a different kind of concept. Okay. So let me look at the comments. Okay. Wanted to see, let's see. Do we have a higher expectation of marriage? So in the past, the expectations of marriage was decent sex. And I don't mean just marriage. I mean just relationships for each other, right? Okay. Decent sex, consistent respect for each other, and hitting major milestones together, buying cars, buying houses, going on trips, hitting these things together. Okay. Definitely now with this concept of soulmates, with this definite Hollywood spin on everything. We ain't even want to talk about Tyler Perry and his spin on the light-skinned man coming in to save everybody. But definitely the spin on things, we're expecting emotional support, both sides. We're expecting intellectual stimulation, both sides. We're expecting companionship to the ultimate best friend level, which I do think that you should be good friends, if not best friends, with your husband or your wife. But I do understand, again, the ebb and the flow. Sometimes you guys are not in sync. So anyway, they expecting stellar sex every time and romantic type of things all the time. And that's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily going to be the case. Okay. So there are some things that we have some really high expectations on that we're not being able to stick to. And we're not talking about how it is we should be loved. And that's where I think we're falling apart is we're expecting a level of love that we're not communicating to the people that are trying to love us. Let me take a quick question. Mike said, when I was only meeting one girl a month, there were so many qualities that I didn't like that I would ignore simply because I didn't want to have to start all over. No. You're taking interviews. This is the most important position in your life. This is your partner. Why would you ignore qualities that you felt like were inferior to what it was that you needed as a partner for your marriage? I have to disagree with that. That you were think of it like a job. I mean, if you were to go forward with this relationship, Mike, she's going to have your kids. So you're overlooking different, negative qualities because I guess I'm misunderstanding. You're overlooking these qualities because you like her or because she's cute. The cuteness will go away. The figure will go away. When y'all start having kids, all of that is secondary. You're going to get old. You're probably going to lose your hair. I mean, hopefully you look good, bald. But listen, some of these things will not matter in the long run. You have got to meet with their spirit and make sure that you guys are on the same level there. Because if not, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. And you're going to end up with problems. Okay. So Marie said, when we started out, I had certain expectations and we talked about them. Okay, good. We just assume will be met through no, ma'am. Okay. So here's the thing about unmet expectations or unspoken expectations. Allow me to get that part together. When you do not talk about the things that you require, whether it be because you feel like you're being selfish, so you either you expect it because this is me and I want it, or you don't mention it because you feel like you're being selfish, you're still robbing yourself because you're still going to feel some kind of way if it doesn't happen. So unmet expectations, forget what you heard about, money being the biggest trigger. Unmet expectations is a big trigger of divorce. It's a huge trigger. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that because you guys need to have conversations. And of course, as it comes up, because everything is not going to be right on the tip of your brain right in that moment. But definitely as it comes up, you guys need to talk about it and explain what it is that you're seeking, what it is that you need, because we're not always getting our needs met. Tony said unrealistic expectations apply pressure and can cause you to start drifting apart. You will drift apart, Tony. Absolutely. You 100%. Another just based on our person, we need certain things. And as you said, some of these things may be unrealistic based on these Hollywood conceptions that they have placed in our head, like The Notebook. I mean, that's very, very romantic. And maybe it's based on a person's story, but now you have hundreds, if not thousands of women seeking this relationship when that's not who most of these guys are. This is what one guy did for this one woman, and that was their relationship, and it lasted throughout the years. And that's beautiful. I love the fact that that was a beautiful relationship. I'm sure it was based on either somebody's true story, somebody's grandparents, or it was based on somebody's imagination. But either way, these are unrealistic expectations for us to expect of our mate who live in this century right now. You can make your own, and you can compromise, and you can say, hey, I'll accept this, or this might be okay. These are all things that you can do. All things that you can do. But unrealistic expectations is going to ruin your marriage. It's going to ruin your relationship. You guys need to talk, and you guys need to talk often. So Doreen said, viewing marriage through rose-colored glasses and through fairy tale lenses leads to divorce. Girl, listen. My parents, again, and this is from my point of view, so I understand everyone else has different point of views, but from my point of view, my parents, my dad said when he saw my mom that that God told him that was his soulmate, and they were married within 6 months. Now that is not the rule. It's not the rule. They were the exception. The rule is you meet somebody, you fumble about, you make some things work, and you kind of piece it together, because what they had was timeless. And unfortunately, she died, after 30 years of marriage, till death did they part. And also she was submissive to him, the whole nine. I mean, I had some pretty stellar role models that I don't think I'll ever be able to match their level of relationship. But because I know that, that's what's going to make my next relationship better. And yeah, if you go through thinking everything is going to be a fairy tale, you are going to be sadly mistaken. And that is one of the number one things that I think Hollywood has really done a number on us. Like I said, even the Medea movies have done this whole number on us about how things are going to be fixed in the last 5 minutes. It won't. It requires work. Marriage requires work. Should it be hard? Sometimes it is, but the reward is what makes it worth it. The reward is what makes it worth it. The teamwork makes it worth it, okay? So what are some other ways that we get involved in these unmet expectations? Miscommunications. When we do not talk and we don't follow up and we don't get clarity and we don't, understand what's going on, and we just unfortunately move forward with what we think the other person is saying, that's when we start fumbling and we start missing expectations. So definitely something that you also want to kind of consider while you're moving forward in your relationship is miscommunications. Make sure you communicate. Make sure that you're clear about it, and make sure you get clarity. Stacy says that my spouse should complete me. No, ma'am. No person has that kind of power. Your spouse should compliment you. That's a very good way to say it. You can grow together as one, but no one, not even your soulmate, has the power to complete you. I have to agree 100%, Stacey. That was a well-stated comment. Well-stated comment. There is, listen, if you are not complete by yourself, you will not be complete with someone else. 100%. If you are not complete by yourself, you're going to struggle in a relationship, because you're going to place all of your emotions, your achievements, everything that you need in the other person, and the other person is too much for them to handle. That's too much for them to handle, and you will be disappointed. And it's not intentional. They don't mean to disappoint you, but they will disappoint you. So Harry says, Lord knows I fumble about. Laugh out loud. I am Ray Finkel of love. Oh, how funny. Listen, yeah. And if you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with how it is that you move forward in life, it is so much easier to be in a relationship where you both have expectations that are healthy. Okay. So how do we let go of some of these expectations? First of all, be aware of your own. Know what you need, and be truthful about everything. The truth hurts. Yes, sometimes it does. I really hate the way you do that, because when you do that, it makes me want to take your head off. Yeah. And that's an honest statement, and be honest and truthful with the people that you love, because when you're not, that's when you end up with these situations where it could have been easily remedied. I mean, I know you guys have watched movies where if y'all would just have a conversation, this would not go on. I do it all the time, but I'm a social worker. I yell at the TV all the time. So anyway, and look at other healthy marriages. If you want to go seek counseling if you have to, and talk to your spouse. And be real about what it is that you need. If I just need you to hold me, I can't be mad because he's over there sitting there. He's not holding me. He should be over here holding me. If he loved me, he would hold me. That's wrong. That's going to shut you down every time because you're not telling him what you need. And therefore, you're not getting your expectations met or your needs met, and he doesn't understand what he's doing wrong. And so then you get mad, and then all of a sudden we have this big, huge situation when all you had to do was say, I really need to be held right now. Can you please hold me? I'm struggling. So anyway, I hope that is what you guys needed. We have some more. We got one more comment, so let's get this going. David said, letting go of the need to be right, woo, can help preserve the unity in your marriage. Listen, I want to say it was my dad said, do you want to be right or do you want to have peace? Because sometimes you can't have both. You either want to be right about everything or you want to have peace. I like peace. It's a huge one. It's a huge one. Joanna Collins Hopkins says it's a big one. It's a huge one because you cannot have peace if you write about everything. It's a real talk. Know your partner's love language. That is definitely something that is you have to know. Ego is a hell of a drug. Yeah. So love languages, we talked about this before. So physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and quality time. You should know your partner's love language. Now, what that means is if your partner wants words of affirmation and you keep giving them gifts because that's your love language, they don't feel loved. They just feel like you're buying them. So you want to make sure that you know what your mate's love language is, because if not, they're going to feel unloved, unwanted, maybe even used, unappreciated. Again, unmet expectations, but it all starts with communication. So Charlie said he's been married for 26 years because he valued peace over being right. Listen, now I hear this, Charlie, about men, and especially like when the Cosby Show was going on. I do understand the whole situation with Cosby, but the Cosby Show is part of my growing up. So that's something that I always internalize when I think about a healthy relationship, because they did try to emulate having communications at the dinner table. They tried to emulate talking about real topics. But what I'm saying that to say is Bill Cosby always deferred to his wife. Whatever was going on, he always did. And I don't necessarily feel like that's right, because sometimes we dead wrong. But I do understand value and peace over being right. Because sometimes I'm like, baby, whatever you say. Yes, you're right. The sky's purple today. You're right. It sure is. Whatever you say, love bug. Because it's real. Sometimes you just want to love on your honey, not fight. And that's a real thing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Make sure I give you guys your affirmation for today. And I will be the right one for the one I was meant to love. I will be the right one for the one I was meant to love. So when you say these affirmations, and then, of course, this goes into whether you're with your husband or wife, or whether you're dating, or whether you're fine, or whether you're being single. This is an affirmation that can help everybody. So again, I will be the right one for the one I was meant to love. So I'm wishing you that. I'm wishing you healthy love. Understanding, as another comment, understanding that the goal is the growth of each other, respecting each other's journey together. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. You guys are going to grow together. Who you married at the beginning or who you got into a relationship at the beginning is not the same person that you're going to be 5 years from now, even 1 year from now. You're going to be different people because you're going to grow. Now, you can grow together or you can grow apart. And it's always a choice. So the goal is to continue to vibe and grow together and be each other's back and treat each other like you love each other. And represent your man or represent your woman and be that safe space for them. Real talk. Okay, that's real. So definitely you're going to either grow, you're going to grow regardless. So isn't it better to grow together than to grow this way? All right. I will be the right one for the one I was meant to love. I'm going to send you guys love. Thank you for joining me here. And I will be here same time next week, same day, right here on the Batchelor's Radio Network. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can catch me on all my forms of social media, sending you guys love. And I wish you all a healthy, wonderful relationship. Bye, guys. All right, here on the Batchelor's Radio Network.